I would like to thank Attila the Q for sending me this story. And yes, I'm talking about Travis Scott again, but it has nothing to do with what I just previously talked about with him as a topic of discussion. This is something else. If he thought facing backlash for performing at the Super Bowl halftime show next year with Maroon 5 was one thing, sorry about that, but if he thought about performing at the Super Bowl halftime show with Maroon 5 was one thing, what just came out is gonna cause an even bigger backlash, especially amongst a lot of black people who were around at the time of this happening. So Travis Scott did an interview back in 2014, 4 years ago, with Hot 97, and they were talking about the incident that happened with Mike Brown in Ferguson, and as we all know, that became a worldwide, I guess you could say, spectacle, event, incident, whatever you would like to call it, but it made international airwaves. And he was talking about it, and his response to it definitely made some people raise their eyebrows, especially from coming from a young black man such as himself, who at the time, you know, wasn't that far off in age from Mike Brown, to the point where they were like so close. They were close in age. They could have been brothers. You know, Mike Brown was 18 at the time. He was 24, because I think they say he's 26. No, so I take that back. He was younger than that. He was about 22. So they were close in age. Not a big difference, just a 4 year difference. And he said, and I quote, and I know we're like fed up, quote unquote, with whatever is going on in culture, but at the same time, you just got to stop putting yourself in positions where you're continuously having this situation go down. He said that so many black people acted like fake activists, and that he's not going to say that Brown didn't deserve to pay for consequences he probably inflicted. Let that sink in what he just said. Now, if you close your eyes and you take away the tone of his voice, that sounds like it came from somebody who works over at Fox News. That's what, or it came from a person that doesn't like black people and feel they deserve whatever it is that they deserve. Now, this was back in 2014. As I continue reading the article, it said that this interview was done before his first, I think it was his first album or whatever, or the year before he really blew up, because it said in 2015 that's when he blew up. Now, I'm not one to be a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but what's the irony, or what's the coincidence that he said this in 2014 and then his career blew up the following year? And now he's about to do the Super Bowl halftime show next year. At first, I thought it was, oh, he became big when he got with Kylie Jenner. I'm thinking that, yeah, he did get big with her, but I think something else was going on behind the scenes as well. And I think we can go back to this interview, because let's be real here. The powers that be will put anybody on when they speak against their own, especially if you're black, especially if it's against someone they feel deserved to get what they received, like Mike Brown. You had Fox News, all these races and everything, and even some of the coons saying exactly what he just said, that Mike Brown deserved it, even though witnesses came out and said that Mike Brown had his hands up. Mike Brown didn't deserve what he got. Darren Wilson killed that boy and left him, and they left him in the street for hours for the world to see his dead body before they came and removed it. That's just not how you treat a human being, but they still see us as 3/5 of a human being, according to that document that they claim got overturned. But let's be real here. The way we still get treated here to this day, it's almost like it's still there. It might as well be there, but in a small print. Now, Travis Scott, here's what I ask you. Whatever happened to waiting for all of the facts to come out? Now, he probably said this in the midst of all the hype that was surrounding it. He was listening to the wrong sources, and he came up with his own opinion about this and pretty much said that Mike Brown deserved what he received. He said he danced around saying those words, but that's what he meant. I don't know what's going on with a lot of these individuals today. First, we had the thing with Chris Rock came up, with him saying, the N-word around other white people and allowing them to set it off and him just entertaining it. And now you got Travis Scott not only performing at the Super Bowl halftime show, which compared to this is like almost low tier, pretty much, because this is worse. Like, you went completely off cold. You could have easily said, I'm going to wait for all the facts before I pass any type of judgment, because a lot of people didn't do that. They came up with their own conclusion because of the way the media spins things. This lets me know he believes a lot of what mainstream media has to say, but he's not the only one that feels that way. Luckily for me and those who listen to me, don't fall easily to mainstream media in their spinning like tactics. But unfortunately, people like Travis Scott most likely do. I wonder, was he paid or coerced to say that? Because a lot of our people get paid under the table or coerced to say things that they don't want to say. But hey, if the price is right, they'll say or do. Yeah, I said do just about anything for that almighty dollar that is sinking yet again. But this doesn't surprise me. That's why I'm not snapping right now. That's why I'm not labeling this a Turian Rage video. I've already raged out a couple of days in a row. I don't need my blood pressure to shoot through the roof. But I'm not surprised, nor am I shocked that Travis Scott said what he said about Mike Brown. Hell, it's people that still believe that Trayvon Martin was the aggressor against George Zimmerman to this day, even though all kinds of stuff have come out against Zimmerman since that trial happened. And now they want to say, well, George Zimmerman is this, that, and the third. Was like, hold on. Back in 2012, y'all was saying that Trayvon Martin was this, that, and the third. Now y'all want to get upset because he won't stop popping up in the news for bullshit. If they would have dealt with him accordingly down in Florida, then we wouldn't have to constantly hear about him. But many of you were supporting him. Same thing with this case with Darren Wilson. Many people, black people, were saying that Mike Brown was the aggressor and he should have had his hands up. He should have did this. He should have did that. But they don't say what Darren Wilson should have and should have not done. They let him off the hook. And not only that, with so many others, like Laquan McDonald. What good thing Jason Van Dyke, he's going to jail. Hopefully they throw the book at his ass. But yet people were saying that Laquan McDonald should have did this and Laquan McDonald should have did that. And and Jason Van Dyke was, fearing for his life, even though he stood over his body and shot him 16 times, prepared to reload his weapon and continue shooting him until his partner stopped him. I can go on and on and on, but it goes all the way back to this. You have to wait for all of the facts to come out. That's what they like to tell us. Well, that's one thing we need to actually do, is wait for everything to come out. And even if, it doesn't, we stay on code because they know how to stay on code. Unfortunately, a lot of black people with the mindset of Travis Scott don't know how to stay on code, let alone what the fuck a code is. Their code usually lines up with money, how much they can get paid, and other materialistic items that they can't take with them after they die. But like I said, I'm not surprised with Travis Scott. And it's so crazy because you had a lot of people that was in my comment section trying to defend him when I did that video, when they said Jay-Z should advise him, even though now looking back at it, Jay-Z probably wasn't the best person to give him that advice because he didn't follow his own advice when he was advised not to go to Florida when Trayvon Martin got killed, and he still went. So I guess you could say it was the right message but wrong messenger. But Travis Scott, all I'm going to say is this. You better stay on whatever path it is you're walking on right now, which is one beaten with eggshells. Because if you even one step out of line and you piss off the people that put you on, and I'm not talking about us, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Just know your wake-up call will be coming, and I will be there with my orchestra. You let me know what you think of this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. The links will be in the description. I'll talk to you in the next one.